Good morning. Well, good afternoon if you're in Central Time or Eastern Time Zone. Today's topic is what are the green card options after filing for asylum? Now, of course, the first thing is that typically you want to be able to get asylum interview, right? Because you have the asylum interview, then you have the opportunity to present your case, present your facts, so that you could get asylee status. Now, unfortunately, the thing is with the government USCIS, they're taking freaking forever to at least give you the interview. So, in the meantime, a lot of people have questions who've called in and said, "What else can I do in the meantime?" Now, there are some options. Okay, it's not just about green card, it could be an actual non immigrant visa status, but there are a lot of legal concerns. We get this almost every day. We share the option. Now, it's the thing is when you file for asylum application, it stops unlawful presence. So that's a great thing. But there's a couple things. It's timing. Have you filed the application for asylum within 1 year of your legal entry? And some people don't. But what can make it stronger is if you filed the application within 6 months of your legal entry, because that stops the unlawful presence from even occurring before your whatever it is, like could be your visitor visa, it could be so if it is a visitor visa, typically you get about 6 months of authorized stay in America. Not everyone gets that. So even though that could be the standard, that could be the default when you enter the United States, the customs officer might put a date on there. Like we just got a call, someone got a date for December 30th and they just entered America Saturday. Okay, so but customs officers, for some reason, they might put a shorter date, maybe because they know that in the system there's a petition currently on file, but that's not most of y'all. Most of y'all don't have any kind of family sponsorship opportunities to file a petition, I-130. So this video, this live show is really talking about this problem, this immigration problem, where you filed the asylum application and you still have not received the interview date. Okay. Because if you already received the interview or you had the interview and you had the decision from the interview and it's a denial, then unfortunately the unlawful presence starts taking effect, okay, from the decision date. And most y'all who are watching already know this, that once you have overstayed your visa and it's more than 180 days of unlawful presence in America, meaning without any kind of status, okay, then it starts the clock. Okay, so asylum application filing that within 1 year of entry stops the clock, okay, of unlawful presence. So that's the first key element there to consider. The other thing is if you enter America without a visa at all, there's some folks like that, right? So of course conservatives like to remind us about that. But with that, they kind of forget is a lot of people who do enter with a visa. Never mind. I won't mention it in case some conservatives are watching. But anyways, but since there are some people who enter without a visa, then this whole talk about filing for asylum, it's still helpful if you filed it sooner than later. And here's the deal, okay? It's because that when you do file for asylum, and then years later we have received these calls and they say, well, what can I do, what kind of options do I have to get a green card? Of course, that's really the main question for residency, but there's the first answer we have is for employment based green card, because we already know and we ask in advance anyway, do you have a family member who can sponsor you? No, it's not your tio, tia, uncle, or aunties. Unfortunately, they don't count as a sponsor. However, it could be your parent, it could be your adult child, um, or it could be a sibling. But everyone knows filing from a sibling, it's great to have that petition filed, so get you in queue, get you in line, but it's going to take forever. Typically, it's more than 10 years of waiting time, and that is after the petition is approved. Now, here's the deal. employment based. Okay. You might think, oh shoot, I'm not even like a do I have to be a professional? Do I have to have a college degree to apply for employment based sponsorship? No, you don't. There's actually a category called EB3. It could be, which does include professionals, but also includes skilled workers or unskilled workers. So society will like to think that people who are essential workers, which is a common label lately because of pandemic, that is considered possibly skilled workers and unskilled workers. So whether you think that could be, restaurant workers, uh, Uber or Lyft drivers, logistics, transportation, things like of that nature. Um, nurses, even though they require, a college degree, that can go under professionals. So EB2 is for people who have college degrees, advanced. They call it advanced degrees. So, bachelor's degree or a master's. So some of you already know that, right? But how do you get there if you have already filed for asylum? And this is not to say that your asylum application, there's any bad facts or you're telling a lie. Now, hopefully, of course, hopefully you told the truth on the application. It needs to be credible, okay, that you're telling the truth. But the deal is that there's many, many people, thousands of people who have filed the application and are still waiting for the freaking interview. So, yes, we do offer the option of filing a lawsuit based on not having received the interview. But for whatever reason, you don't want to take that step, that solution of filing a lawsuit that we call mandamus law, federal action. That's okay. You can still do it another way if you think that maybe you have a weaker case and you realize that um, maybe the government in your country, whatever the reason that you fled your country to begin with, maybe that original reason has gone away. Like I mentioned, I think yesterday, which China, the country of China, we don't talk about the country, the politics there. Unfortunately, I don't mean the folks. The country politics over there, and fortunately, the quarantine that people are facing in China. So my heart goes out to those folks who lost their lives because of the unfortunate quarantine rules on that college campus. Um, so anyway, by the way, you can try to expedite your case if you're waiting for consular processing in China. We have a couple clients in that scenario. And what else? So, but anyway, the Chinese policy back in the day, I think it changed in 2016 that they had only had the one child policy. So if you finally have your interview and you're from China and you have that very similar reason of leaving China for one child policy, I don't speak for the government, but it's going to be a harder argument to a USCIS officer saying that you feared China because of the one child policy. Because who knows, maybe USCIS officer will say, well, look, I get it from the past, but now China doesn't have that policy anymore. So of course, USCIS officers, they're just trying to do their job, but they don't have all the information. They don't have probably never lived in China to understand. And hopefully no one has ever hopefully the Chinese government doesn't take retaliatory action for those folks who do have to return to China based on that reason, even though that policy no longer exists. So anyway, that's why a lot of y'all have been calling us and trying to find another solution, just in case your government or whatever the reason the actors in that country have the perpetrators, not actors. I guess we use different legal words. The perpetrators in that your country um, maybe no longer exist. I don't know. It's like what the U.S. government thought that the Taliban would no longer be a threat. Yeah, probably not the right assumption. But I do think, by the way, it's a good idea to get out of Afghanistan because we've been there so long and it costs a lot of money. So, which I know there's some of y'all from Afghanistan trying to find a solution also. So we'll come up with source some information for y'all because I know unfortunately y'all are getting denied by the U.S. government, and that's really ridiculous. They're making it very difficult for you, despite what it says despite what the media has shared on the public facing documents. Anyways, so you can apply for EB, or you can apply for something called E2. Now I can share my screen. E2 are for those folks who are basically business owners. Now you don't have to apply for E2. There could be other options like O1. That also includes for businesses. Maybe you could apply for national interest waiver or self petition. It just depends on your situation if you qualify. Now let me see if I can share my screen here on YouTube, at least, and Facebook. Yep, here it is. Here's a list. We do have a free guide about this, by the way. So here's a list for the E1, E2 countries. Not every country is part of this treaty, or the U.S. government has, a pact basically to allow nationals of that country to come into the U.S. Based on this as a non-immigrant visa. Okay, so typically, when I searched, all the communist countries are not on that list, as you could probably imagine. But for some reason, Brazil's not on the list. Don't know why. But of course, China's not on the list. But Taiwan is. And let me see here. And unfortunately, Hong Kong's on the list because technically Hong Kong is part of China. Taiwan is on the list because they keep arguing that they're not part of China. So that's just something to keep note of. Just politics. Costa Rica's on there. Croatia. Let's see. I'm just scrolling down. Ethiopia. For example, Nigeria is not on the list. Nicaragua is not on the list. But for you that are not on the list for E2, E1 treaty visa list, that's okay. There are other options. Okay, there's an O1, like I mentioned before, or through residency. So we'll share a free guide. We'll put that in a link down below in the description box after the show. But here's the main issue that people are concerned about, and that is the unlawful presence, right? After you file the asylum application. And can I get that? Can I get that visa in the U.S.? Your application, the first step, the application is filed to USCIS. So while the application is processing, let's say for average 6 months, it can be here while you're in the U.S. Now, the thing is that many of y'all don't want to leave. I get that, but you most likely have to. Okay, most likely, like probably 99% of y'all. Now, the other thing that you have to consider is it worth it, right? Because we get that question a lot. Like, you have a lot of assets. You have people that depend on you because you have a company, right? So of course, a lot of people depend on you. Is it worth the risk? That's up to you. Okay, I can only share the information. I can't tell you to apply for XYZ options or ABC options, but there are options. Okay, of course, anything in life comes with some risk, small or larger risk. I don't want to call it gambling, but a lot of y'all are just fed up and frustrated. Some of y'all didn't even want to stay in America. Okay, you want to leave, you intended to leave, and who knows? Maybe it was the pandemic, or for whatever reason, you had to stay. Okay, that happens. It's just like the reverse. We've got a lot of calls about people who wanted to maintain their residency status, but got stuck outside America, and have been able to maybe renew their residency, but for some reason, the most common reason is because they had to take care of a family member, maybe a parent, for example, and they had to stay back, or take care of their spouse who maybe had cancer. So it's just a lot of unfortunate situations for y'all. But the deal is, for something like that, it's you most likely have to reapply for residency. But that's for another video. There's something else called SB1. So it's really, we like to think about the different scenarios that people are challenged with. And right now it's mostly focused on, we get a lot of calls about people in this scenario that filed for asylum, which, by the way, folks, if you're on YouTube, you can see this, but Brian Manning is an attorney who focus only on asylum. Okay, that's all he focuses on. So if you're considering, if you have filed, even if you filed for asylum already and you have an interview coming up, you might want to consider this gentleman. There's so many lawyers out there. You need to conduct your own due diligence on who you think is best for your service, the services you need. But I truly encourage that you consider an attorney, specifically, preferably, an attorney who only handles asylum law, that specific practice area, because I see these things every day, right? So, and by the way, actually worked for the government before. Um, so he has better insight than probably most other folks. Again, not to say that other attorneys who help with asylum are not good. There are a lot of great attorneys out there, but consider Brian Manning. He has a YouTube channel, and let me see if I can find that in. There we go. I'm going to share his website. Okay, in the comment section for Facebook and YouTube. So you can get that. But if you're on Instagram, it's manningasylumlaw.com. So even though, and of course, it can help you if you haven't filed for asylum at all. Okay, if you're just starting from scratch. But just because you already filed your application and maybe you already had a lawyer file it, but you don't really like that lawyer any for whatever reason, maybe not answering your phone call. I don't want you to feel like you're stuck and without a lawyer. So Brian Manning is an option. Okay. What we do as professionals, legal professionals, that we try to keep, have a network, not keep, maintain a list of attorneys who help with specific things that we may not cover. So, anyways, conduct your own due diligence, and I think he's usually booked at least a couple weeks out in advance. So, you might want to schedule that sooner than later. Okay, so here's the deal. Okay, so the main legal issue people have is what they think about is unlawful presence. However, it's also failure to maintain legal status. Okay, so most people don't think about that part. So if you're already here on F1 student visa or another non-immigrant visa, let's say like L1 or H1B, and you want to start your own business, then yes, that would be the legally easier option. But for those folks that have filed for asylum, you haven't maintained your status. Now, because filing for asylum does not maintain status. So I just want to make that clear. I did a video about this on YouTube about more than a year ago, and we got a lot of calls, and a lot of people didn't understand, and that's okay. That's why I went to law school. Or I guess law school technically doesn't teach this, but we learn it through the years. So anyway, anyone that wants to go to law school, you'll understand this, what I'm trying to say. But yeah, so for those folks who have like current non-immigrant status, you can change your status so you're not skipping a beat. You're not skipping a step, essentially, right? You haven't had a situation where you have had a gap in status. But for those folks who have filed for asylum, you do have that gap of failure to maintain non-immigrant status, okay, any legal status. Because of course, so you might wonder, what is non-immigrant status? Non-immigrant status basically means that you are here temporarily. Of course, you want to probably live here more long-term or permanently, but the immigrant visa or immigrant status means that you are here with resident status or conditional resident status, permanent resident status, and it's permanent in nature that you're going to be here long-term. Of course, unless you want to leave permanently, but that's a different story. That's a different situation. So anyway, so that's where a lot of folks have been stuck about, is the failure to maintain status. And so what does that mean? Okay, that means that most likely 99.9% of y'all have to leave eventually to pick up your visa. Okay, so if you go for O1, something else, H1B, E2, E1, any of those options, you have to leave. Okay. And so again, you need to speak with a lawyer to confirm this for yourself. We're just one of many lawyers. We know there's many options out there, probably, thousands of immigration lawyers, but we like to share information to let you know that there are possible options so you don't have to feel stuck with just waiting and waiting and waiting for your asylum application to have an interview. Um, Again, we file a lawsuit for many folks who we've even had Brian Manning's clients come and ask for help for getting the interview sooner, and sometimes not just the interview. A lot of folks are waiting a long time after the interview just for the decision, okay, for the approval or denial notice from USCIS. So we actually filed that as well. Hey, Brian, thanks for the comment. Brian just wrote on YouTube. Appreciate it, Brian. He said, thanks, John. Folks, John is your man for anything green card related. Can't recommend him strongly enough. Thank you so much for your kind words. I greatly appreciate it. You did not have to say that at all. There's many attorneys out there, but we're here to share solutions. And I have noticed that a lot of people have called us after they already spoken with probably like 2, 3, 4. Actually, someone called us one time and said that we were the 20th lawyer, and I was like, bless your heart, that because they just keep looking for solutions. Now, of course, we don't have a solution for everything, and even if we did, you might not want to take that chance to leave the United States to pick up your visa, because here's the other risk that people may not have realized, but we know because we file lawsuits against the U.S. government, okay, the specific U.S. agency, and that is that some people have been delayed in getting the visa itself, right? Like they've already been approved, H-1B, O-1, whatever the visa type is, but they get stopped. Like they went to an interview in their country or a different country, and we call third-party designation, but they had the interview, and they got an email saying they need, like, the government needs some kind of document. Okay, oh, right, the document we don't like, the DS 5535. Again, it's asking for like 15 years of your residence addresses. I think it asks for your uncles and tios, living or deceased. It's just strange. Why do they need to know all this information? I get it. Maybe there's some kind of gang activity in the past, or terrorist activity. But pretty sure all of y'all who've contacted us and who've contacted other of our colleagues are not in that scenario. But they're not asking everyone to do this. So it's kind of confusing. It would make more sense if they're asking everyone to do it, if anything. But somehow, when they ask for that document, DS 5535, and most people call us, say, oh yeah, we provide it the next day or the same day, the answers to that document. And they don't get a call back. They don't get a notification to pick up their visa for a long time. Some people waited like 6 months, called us. Some people waited a year, called us. Some people waited 2 days and call us. So, but of course, you shouldn't file a lawsuit after, I would say probably wait at least 60 days. Okay, 2 months in this kind of scenario. So anyway, that is the other risk. If you have to leave after you go through this whole process for non-immigrant visa application, and then, it's approved, which is great. That's great for step one. But then you set up the interview abroad. Okay, so by the way, of course, if you have filed for asylum, you don't want to go to your country of nationality or wherever you fled for the actual visa interview. Okay, you don't want to do that. You want to set up an interview with a different country. Now, of course, you can speak with attorneys like Brian Manning to talk about whether filing, if leaving to a different country will mean abandoning your asylum application. That I'm not sure, because I don't practice asylum. If Brian's still on by any chance, if you feel comfortable to share it, please do. But not sure about that part, so I need to check in with him. But but there are options. Okay, but you need to know the risk. Okay, it would be, I wouldn't feel comfortable if I didn't share the risk. And that's what we're about. We share the solution, but also with possible risk, pros and cons. Okay. Let's see what else to share with you. So we will have a free guide to share with you on our website, and I'll add a link to it uh, down below in the description box for those folks who are, maybe watching it later. But if you are new to our channel, welcome. Please give us some hearts if you like the way, if you enjoy the way we share content, because there's a lot of immigration lawyers out there. We like to do it our own way, and share the source. But if you're on YouTube, you see this, go to our website. You can see down below the various guides that we have. It could be about mandamus, investor visa, family-based, whatever it is. You got options, okay, folks? You just need to know. And also for students, okay, if you're a student and you didn't know what the options are to apply for work permit afterwards, OPT, CPT, or even how to find an internship, how to find a job for post grad, yeah, you need to get on the boat. Okay. I'm sorry. That's not the right phrase, especially with immigration. You need to get on the same page. You need to get on the right page to get going to start boosting your resume. Okay. Again, if you're familiar with the H-1B process registration, that's coming up in March. Okay. So for those folks, even of course, graduation doesn't happen until May or December, like this month. But let's say you have graduation in May. That doesn't mean to wait until after graduation to try to get a job. If you're in the foreign national with F1 student visa and you're going to graduate in May, you actually need to do a lot of work to apply for jobs beforehand, so that certain industries, like certain professional industries, tend to know this process, to know to start recruiting at college campuses or professional campuses for so they can sponsor you for H-1B. But we'll have a separate video about this. We'll share on YouTube. So if you're not familiar with our YouTube channel, it's greencardguys.tv, and you go to that link and that will take you straight there. Okay. So anyways, our free guides will share information about the common questions and answers to common questions, typically a step-by-step, estimated step-by-step. Again, I can't promise how soon the government can process your case, because unfortunately, pretty much for every case type, they're slow, except for employment-based cases, depending on the step. Okay, if it doesn't require labor certification, things like that, for the petition, that particular step, for like E2, E1, for example, TN visa, H-1B, you can pay more for premium processing. If you've been in like Disney World, they used to have something called like is it called Rapid Pass, Fast Pass, something like that? They changed the name, I think, ever since I last visited. But apparently, I have to go very soon to take my kiddos there. Let's see. But if you have any questions, drop in the comments. Let me know how you're doing. Okay, I know that it's been a tough time in the pandemic, and if there's anything I've learned from the pandemic, is that we need to take action. Okay, folks. A lot of y'all have been waiting and thinking the government's going to help you. It's like what I've said before about if you have a case in court, the judge is not going to help you. They're a judge. They're going to help remove you from the country. That's pretty much it. Okay. I mean, of course, if you're eligible for something, they're going to go through that application, but they're not going to help you like a lawyer would. Okay, a private lawyer. Right. So why am I saying this? If you're suffering, if you're in that challenge, we have a court case, and you think your lawyer is going to be there, but they haven't even called you, they haven't replied to you. I'm not saying it's been 24 hours, right? Like if you called your lawyer, it's been like 3 months, even 30 days, right? That's a long time. That's pretty ridiculous. So on our website for our clients, we allow there's 3 ways to contact us. It might be a little bit overkill, but I just want to make sure no one's left behind. Okay. All right. We want to make sure that everyone's contacted. Tradition option number 1 is email, right? If you don't need to schedule like face-to-face video call, that's okay. We can respond to your email. We try our best in 24 hours. We just can't guarantee, but we try our best. Sometimes it's in 1 hour. We use a shared email inbox, so that reduces you having to, use multiple emails of team members. Number two, we if you do want a video, face to face, or if you don't want video but you want to talk about it, you could turn your video off. We don't mind. We're gonna have our video on, um, but it's you can self schedule that, or you can submit a support ticket. Now, we're all humans here. I don't want to make it think like there's bots and all that in our systems, but we do use automations to help you with the information you need. So, for example, if you want to submit a change of status, I'm sorry, submit a change of address, um, we provide you information, but we typically do it for you. Okay, depending what plan you're on. We have 3 different plans, by the way. The other thing is that we I don't know why my camera looks a little hazy on YouTube, like a blue hue. Check that out. Let's see. Let's see. So anyway, we have a separate web page just as a client that allows you to self schedule an appointment, allows you to submit a support ticket, because maybe you did email and somehow the filtering of our labeling in our email inbox, it just went to spam or something. That can happen. So we understand. So that's why we have the support ticket option. Um, like, why the hell did you not respond to my email? That's basically what it is. But we also have other options like how to find out about your case processing, because we get that question a lot. We try our best to be proactive to email that. I don't want to say every month, but after a certain time period, we start emailing you proactively. But let's say it's after 3 months and you're just curious. We have information about that, okay, on how to do that. But you can submit that support ticket, and it should auto email you that information. Let's see what else. Anyway, what am I trying to say? We offer customer service, okay? You're a client. We offer that service because you pay us for that. So if you're talking to another law firm, that's great. Everyone's budget is different, but ask them these questions. Ask them, aside from the customer service part of it, when will you file my case? I'll tell you a little secret. When I spoke at a conference earlier this year in the summer, everyone dropped their jaws. They're like, how is it possible you can guarantee to people when to file the case? Now, look, I get it. There's a couple cases that we are not able to file exactly in that time period. Like if you select the max plan, depending on what kind of case it is, it's 30 days or it's 45 days. Okay. It requires teamwork with you, of course, because if you don't provide us the evidence, we can't file it. Or if you don't provide us the signature pages, or if you don't provide us a medical exam, that depending on strategy, you might say, forget the medical exam right now, and we'll submit it later, because it does take at least a week from your medical provider. So that takes some time. And plus you have to mail it to us if you're outside of Houston. So, and that's okay. It's valid for 2 years anyway. And the USCIS provides us a courtesy notice to provide the medical exam later. But anyways, for the most part, I'm going to track my data in a couple of days. But so far, from the case I've tracked with our team, we filed every case on time. Okay. Knock on wood. I hope we continue that for the future years. But I'm just giving you that idea. If you're frustrated, especially if you already had a case from the past and maybe it resulted in denial, unfortunately, and now you're like, I think I have a better idea what kind of law firm or lawyer I'm going to hire. But you probably didn't think about this. When to file my case, my application, my petition. How soon will you file it? Now, no, don't get me wrong. When I started my practice a long time ago, I thought, oh my gosh, how can I guarantee this? But I've learned through the years, this is something that people have asked us. And you've paid us X amount of dollars, thousands of dollars. I get it. Now, something like mandamus, to file a lawsuit, we do, depending on where you live or where the company is, we need certification. We need a colleague to help co-counsel on that. but we have relationships with other attorneys in other states. Not in all 50 states so far, to be honest. So, but we're working on that list to create that network for the next 2 weeks. Because what we do is, you might think, oh, why would I hire a Ting Law Group to do that when I can just contact someone over there? It's because you know how we work as customer service. When we have a co-counsel to file it for us, we still have them sponsor us into that specific case so that our law firm is the point of contact, not the sponsoring co-counsel. Okay. What does that mean to you? Is that you will receive updates sooner than later. Now, fortunately, all of our contacts, colleagues across the country tell us the same day. If there's an update, they'll tell us the same day. So that's a great thing, especially if something happens really quickly, which is great. But again, I can't guarantee for everyone that you'll get your result, decision, or some kind of notice, your visa pickup in X amount of time. Now, actually, I just want to share a success story that we had really for the past month. We're just waiting for the visa that finally said visa issued, or even before that, it had said visa refused. Um, Hipster, will you make it easier for us to share your live to the other site? Do you mean like sharing the Instagram video to, or are we talking about the YouTube channel? Let me see if I can type it in. If you're talking about the YouTube channel, thanks for asking, Hipster. Appreciate it. But this is the YouTube channel, greencardguys.tv. But otherwise, if you are interested to share our content, whether it's this video or later on a live video, you can't share it yet, I think, because maybe you can. There could be a button on the bottom right. But any past video live, we always save it so you can bookmark it and share it with another friend. Oh, on Facebook, okay. Facebook, well, it's the same username in the sense. Let me see. Facebook. If you want to share Facebook, it's facebook.com Greencard guys. Okay, let me see if my fingers will let me type it on the phone. I think that's it. Okay, I helped my marketing team. Told me the correct URL. What was I talking about? Delays. You gotta take action. Okay, folks. So the success story, that's right. Success story is that when the U.S. attorney contacted us, they're like, no problem. They're going to contact the state, the consulate or embassy. When they did, they said, oh, here's the issue. Because it's been more than a year. I'm just chuckling here. Because there was no legal issue. That's the first thing. There was no legal issue. That's the frustrating thing. But the issue now is that the consulate is somehow ready to issue the visa suddenly because there was a lawsuit. How ridiculous is that? I hate that you have to pay extra fees, to us and to, of course, the court filing fee because the government is inefficient and somehow delaying cases. Is it on purpose? I'll let you be the judge of that. Okay, but what we have noticed, I know it's across the country, people are suffering delays even after the visa interview, or even 485 adjustment interview. But we've noticed that more and more people have been refused a visa or put in 221G status when you're from a Middle Eastern country from that region. Okay. So just food for thought. You think about that for a second. Post 9/11. It's 2020. It's almost 2023 and it's still, what is that? 22 years already since 9/11. It's ridiculous. They need to have a better way of tracking if someone is suspected of terrorism or something, because this is just ridiculous. Anyways, the success story is that we were able to get the visa issued and picked up, I would say in less than 3 months. Okay. Less than 3 months after we filed the lawsuit. Sometimes it's been 2 months. After you file a lawsuit, it takes on average 2 months for the U.S. attorney to contact us. Okay. Now we are proactive in some scenarios, depending on the situation. But the reason sometimes we don't want to be proactive to contact them is because we know those courts, those offices are slammed with cases. So, it's kind of like we don't want to poke the bear in the situation. They'll contact us and let us know in certain jurisdictions. Some we're able to be proactive to even contact the U.S. Attorney Office before we file a lawsuit. If there's a way we can save you some money so that you don't have to spend it on the court filing fee, because we know money is hard to come by. We get it, especially during the pandemic and post-pandemic. Um, so, because we have relationships with some local U.S. attorneys, depending on the office across the country, and they'll try to find some information on your behalf on why it's stuck. And 99% of the time, it's stuck for no reason. And I hate to say that, but it's the honest truth. I don't know. Maybe it's discrimination, discriminatory practices, or the government's inefficient. But again, why do they need this DS 5535 form if you're abroad? For those folks that are abroad, who really knows? Maybe it's just another reason to delay your case. Okay, folks, I've been talking for a while. Do you have any questions? If you're new to our channel, welcome to greencardguys.tv. And we have a free guide that you can go to our website, greencardguys.com. Go there and you'll see it. Okay. You can scroll down, download one of those guides, because we get it. You might not be ready to contact us because we do offer free 15 minutes currently. Okay. Currently, we have limited spots for that. We're usually booked out at least 2 weeks in advance minimum, but our cares team might be able to get you in earlier, depending on the situation. Okay. So, and we can't guarantee the free consultation for everyone. I really wish we could. We just have limited time. But you could be still suffering a situation, a legal immigration problem. And we have a free guide usually for those. Sorry, I coughed in the mic. Okay. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Okay. But anyway, if you have questions about green card, how to get a green card or any non-immigrant visa status after you file for asylum, let us know. Contact us. We got a phone number down in the description box and above for YouTube, because you may have an option, and if you're willing to take the risk. Okay, not everyone is, and we get it. But one last thing: if for some reason you have accrued unlawful presence, and maybe you didn't file an asylum application, you need to be eligible for a waiver. Okay. And even if you did file an asylum application, that doesn't necessarily take the place of a waiver. So everyone's situation is different. So that's why it's difficult. That's why a lot of lawyers don't like to go on social media and share information, because they're like, well, what if someone relies on information? It just depends. So that's why you still need to consult with an attorney. I wouldn't take action on your own to file your own case without speaking with a lawyer. Okay. You really need to speak with a lawyer. Verify the pathway first. Now, I get it. You might not have the funds to hire a lawyer, but please verify the pathway first. That is my disclaimer. Have a great day and talk to you soon.